comes to this topic, this is the issue that I think affects a lot of immigrant parents, African parents, whatever you want to call it. They all lack this simple principle of setting boundaries with people, even their family members. They literally have the hardest time saying no to people when they know.
First-generation American with both parents from Jamaica, and boy, do I have stories. I watched my mother send money back to her older brother in Jamaica for years. She was practically covering majority of his expenses, and the excuse was always, oh, things are so hard in Jamaica, there's not much opportunity, etc., etc. So when I was a teenager, I went to Jamaica for the first time and met this particular uncle. The first thing he said to me after finding out I was his sister's daughter was, wow, I heard your mom has gotten fat since moving to the States. Then he proceeded to ask 13-year-old me for $20. And I really think that's where my villain origin story began as it relates to sending money back home. Because first of all, this was an able-bodied man and he really could have worked. But I realized that the same people you're supporting will turn around and make jest of you behind your back. So if you want to send money, go for it. But this idea that you're obligated to send money back to people in your home country has got to stop.
So I don't know who needs to hear this, but don't let your Caribbean parents guilt you into giving your money away. Don't let your Caribbean parents guilt you into giving your money away to people who you don't know. And even if you do know them, they are not entitled to your finances. The lady in the video was speaking specifically to Hispanics, but as a child of a Jamaican mother, I've experienced this and I can speak to it. When I tell you I've been asked for everything from Jordans to laptops, honey, and this is from the age of 20s on upwards. I've literally had family members in Jamaica ask me for the clothes off my back and then get mad at me when I came back downstairs and wouldn't give them the clothes that I was literally wearing. My mother would always guilt me into this, and she would say life in the islands is hard, it's rough, you have to help your family. But literally I would do all of this, she still does it, and she wouldn't even get a thank you. Honey, she would go to Jamaica and she wouldn't even get a free mango. If she wanted a mango, they would buy a whole box of mangoes and she's paying for all of them. I would literally give and give and give, and the giving was never enough. It was never ending. On top of that, the same people that I was giving to would turn around and complain that they wanted something more expensive, something of a higher brand, things along those lines, until finally one day it hit me. I'm not doing this anymore. For me, what I had to realize is that my mom is going to do what she wants to do. She's going to keep giving until she has nothing left to give, and they're going to continue to take. I had to become okay with that. I came to that realization in 2020, and honey, I've never looked back. Set yourself free and don't let your parents guilt you into giving your way into poverty.
I live in the South, and it's important for me to say this, the South of Africa. You can say that I live in South Africa, but when I say the South, I'm including Botswana, Zimbabwe, Swaziland, Swati. I'm a Swatini. I'm a Swatiland. And what else? Namibia. Basically the countries in the South. Lesotho, I'm including those countries. Right. It is not as heavy as it is in the South to send money home. Sure, maybe they may do it in Botswana, they might do it in Lesotho, they might do it in Mozambique. Is Mozambique in the South? No. They might do it in Zimbabwe. They might do it, But in South Africa specifically, when you come here as an African person and you start living here, you start adopting to that never giving mentality. Because we don't have money. We don't have it. Okay? If you go abroad, there's highly going to be that thing of sending money home. Because I don't think I'm going to send money home. Send money to what? The only person that I might send money to is my mother. But even as herself, she's established. She has her money. So she won't be taking money from me knowing how life is. But again, I'm thinking that yes, in South Africa, we do not travel abroad. We have this thing called black tax in the South, right? We do not travel internationally a lot in the South and go live abroad. Most of us, we don't. It's something that's in West Africa, in East Africa, Those are the ones who probably travel a lot and live abroad and have experiences in foreign countries. But us here in the South, we have black tax. Black tax is giving back to the family once you're established. So it's literally the same thing. It's the same thing. But yeah, no, I'm just looking at my lips. So black and beautiful. Okay, let's get back to the point. So yeah, black tax is about giving back to the people who helped you in becoming whatever that you have become, right? They are the people that you need to give your returnings to, your earnings to, right? And you shouldn't build your life without giving back. But the giving gets too much. The giving gets too much to the point that you don't want to give anymore. You're tired of giving. It's just exhausting to give a lot and you don't get anything in return. This thing of giving in my family also is not a lot because I isolate myself a lot. I don't suffer from black text a lot. Maybe I might suffer for my mom. I don't think also is black text when I give my mom. I think she's one of, or my grandmother might give my grandmother something. I might give my mom something, but it's not like expected out of me to give because they're established. I give because I want to give them, you know. Yeah, so I kind of like relate, and I also like don't really relate because my family background and my family dynamics are different. Possibly there could be a black South African that could talk about black tax and their experience. I know a lot of them that do experience it, but I do not want to speak on situations that I don't experience. Like for one, I grew up in a household with two parents and my siblings. You know, there is something like a scarce resource in black spaces to grow up with black parents. So this is an example. So speaking on absent fathers is something that I don't want to indulge in a lot because I never had an absent father. Again, with this thing of saying I don't want to speak on black text a lot because I never really experienced it because my parents ensured that I had the best of the best. And I never really had like that large family that would come to me because my family also, we are scouted. We don't talk a lot and we are like a small family. So it's like everybody's kind of like minding their business. There are some people like that, like we're like, oh, you're having a hard time. Also me, like we are having it hard. That's like the kind of family that I come from.
So there's a video circulating by a young lady, and she's talking about how most of us are no longer going to be sending money back home, and she's basically saying how we're speaking from a point of privilege and how we are losing our sense of community by doing so, in addition to some other points. She turned her stitches off, but I want to share my perspective. The reason why most of us are not going to be sending money back home the way our parents were doing is because the way our parents were doing it was not sustainable. It's not wrong to have a need, but it is not practical to rely on somebody to fund your life. Now, I'll always say this, when it comes to education and like medical needs, I am more than willing to, finance a family member if my finances can accommodate it. When it comes to health and education, I can do it. Particularly education. Why? Because if I'm investing in somebody's education, I know that at a point they will be able to, support themselves and get a job. So the end goal is gonna help their own financial freedom. They're not gonna remain dependent on me for the rest of their life. But what is happening, and as we've seen from our parents, is that they keep sending money back home to people who are just waiting for our parents' money to be able to live life. That is just not appropriate. And let's think about it even critically. If you were to calculate the money that African parents have been sending back home versus the amount of money they're putting in their own children's education fund to go to college, yeah, crickets. There are certain things that just don't make sense. And I think that this generation of Africans, we're learning, or even immigrants, we're learning how to have boundaries. You cannot give somebody else life at the expense of your own. It's just not going to work. Basically, don't give a man a fish, teach him how to fish so he can be independent. And I think that's what the scary part is. The people receiving money back home are not interested in becoming financially independent. They are more excited at the prospect of having somebody fund their lifestyle.
When it comes to this topic, this is the issue that I think affects a lot of immigrant parents, African parents, whatever you want to call it. They all lack this simple principle of setting boundaries with people, even their family members. They literally have the hardest time saying no to people when they know they don't want to do shit. Now, I'm not saying that them sending money back home is wrong. That's not what I'm saying. I commend them for doing that. But at a certain point, there's a certain boundary you have to set with these people, bro. You can't set this type of dynamic where you're making them expect you to send them money to live their whole lives, and then you're fucked years later because they're expecting that they're living off of you. And when you stop sending them money, this resentment from their side is gonna come to you. Then this money that you're not giving to your family back here, they're resenting you for it. So that's a double homicide. And this all stems from the fact that they can't say no to people.
Also, me and my family, people would not ask me money because they know that I am the most selfish with money. Like, I do not give out money. I give out money on my own terms. I don't want to be blackmailed into giving money. Like, even with my mom, the amount of money she makes, she would expect me to give her money. And at times I'm like, yeah, I do give you a certain money. Use that to do whatever you want. I'm not gonna dip into my money as well and buy you stuff. The money that I'm giving you is enough. So like the guy said, it's boundaries. Learn boundaries, learn how to just cut people off, you know? This thing of being a good African, I don't know where we got this from. It must be from colonizers. Seriously, because I don't know where it came from.
Which to me, I don't like to do blanket statements with this situation. It's whatever you're comfortable doing. I don't judge people who don't send money back home because I don't know the personal life of their family. And I don't judge people who continue to send money generation after generation. It is whatever you're comfortable with. But here's where I insert the story of my grandfather and his sister and what they did. So for context, my grandpa is one of the most Christian men that I ever knew. He was born in 1923 in like the very rural part of Jamaica. He didn't have shoes till the 4th grade. Man immigrated here in the 1950s, became a very successful doctor in the LA area. His story is something to write a book about, and I will eventually, I feel like. But his sister and him both left Jamaica, okay? Keep that in mind. His sister immigrated to England, he immigrated here. Now, they had made a conscious decision that they were going to continue to pay, send money home for Christmas, for house repairs, for things that people needed back home because they had the extra money to send, but they were only going to send it to the people that took care of them, like their grandmothers, their great aunts and things like that, and the people that they grew up with, so their peers. Now, as soon as their peers started to die off and they were getting older, retired, fixed income, these types of conversations start to come into play. And they basically came up with a plan. My grandpa and my great aunt went to Jamaica, had a family meeting, and basically told them that we're willing to pay the way of the people in our generation, but for your children, we will give you this ultimatum. So they called a meeting with all their family in Jamaica. And basically we're like, for the kids of the people that we've been sending money to, here are your 2 options. 1, you take the money for us to pay for your higher education, trade school, college, whatever, we'll fund it. Or, well, there wasn't really an or. It was like either you take the higher education tip to be able to make more money for your family and your future, or you don't get any money from us at all. The craziest thing is no one chose for them to pay for their education, and they were actually pissed at my grandpa and his sister for not letting them play in their pockets like their parents did, child.
There's a girl on here talking about something. She never gonna send money to Africa. She never sending money to Africa. And some people are outraged, right? Listen, I'm never sending money either. Listen, I just came back from Africa in August. Well, not just, but came back, right? And it's been 20 years since I went there. So this was like the first time, let's just say, right? And ever since I started working, I've always sending money to Africa, to my cousins, to my nephews, to people, like to relatives. Always send money. Sick, school, blah, 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 Eid, all the time. Ramadan is coming, all the time. Never again, never.
When I got there, I went with the girls. When I got there at the airport, there was like immediately at the airport, there was like, oh, we need money to put fuel in the car. And I was like, I don't have no safers. Like, I only have dollars. They're like, okay. So we get to the house. I give money to one of them to go exchange it. They go exchange it. I'm counting my money. One thing, I'm a no money. D-me is like $20. I'm going to use my phone. My money is short $60. So I'm like, oh, what happened? Like, what's the rest of the money? They're like, oh, we took out the $20. We put gas in the car. We took that out. We paid the driver this thing. Your daughter wanted something at the airport, $5. We took that out. We took this out. We took that out. I said, okay. I'm at the house, right? The day we came in, we didn't even settle in yet. We took a shower and everything. We eating. And then someone in the house go, oh, y'all staying for how long? I said, we staying for 3 weeks. They're like, okay, you know, are you guys going to contribute to the food and everything like that? And I'm like, what do they mean? So I called my aunt here in America, and she's like, yeah, just give them something to contribute towards food because you and your kids will be eating there. Family house. I said, okay, cool. I give them $500. So that way they can contribute. So we contributing to the expenses of food. Every time we went out, we had to put fuel in the car. We had to pay the driver. At the end of the month, they give us our electric bill. And this is a household where, when I say we literally paid for it to build, anything that goes on, somebody got to go to the hospital, somebody's sick, we're the one to like help, to pay. When we went there, every single thing we did, we had to pay for. If they bought my daughter something while I was out and about, when I came back, they would tell me, we spend $1 on your daughter, can we have our money back? Like every single time. When I was so shocked that when we was leaving, they told us that our light bill was $15. I looked at them and I said, I'm not paying for it. So I guess, I don't know if she went through that, but I personally went through that. And I was shocked. These are people, when I'm telling you, $800 at a time, $600. The least I've sent in a month was like $400, $800. During Eid time, I'm buying everybody clothes for Eid. I'm sending money to buy cows for families. When I said every house that I went to, if they bought water for us, they wanted to buy water for us, they would be like, oh, can you give $5? We're going to go get water for you. Can you imagine if we did the same thing? That's why I understood the girl. I'm not saying this is everybody family, because this can't be everybody family, right? But some families are like that. When you go there, there is no hospitality. There is so in my last video where I said I'm never sending money to Africa again, you guys had a lot of questions. In the video, I mentioned that when I got there, after like 20 years, I got there, I had to put gas in the car every single time I wanted to go somewhere. I had to give like $500 for me and my kids to eat because they asked me to contribute to the. If I wanted water, we had to pay for our own water. If they did something for us, we had to pay for it. Despite us like sending money over the years and helping and medical bills and so many things, people had questions. They were like, what the heck? I'm going to answer some. And so one of the questions was, how did they respond when you say you're not sending money or when you stop sending money? The same thing, like you a dunka, they meaning you're a cursed child. You're not going to get no blessing. Nothing good is ever going to come to your life. Like you're mean, you're selfish. Watch, you know, you're going to like you're going to fail. Like misery is going to come to you. Same stuff, which is normal. I mean, listen, that's normal. That makes me laugh. That's actually whatever. Someone else asked, maybe they really couldn't afford, you know, to feed you guys or whatever. Maybe that's why. No. I don't want to get too personal, but no, they can afford it because I know for sure they make $3,000 a month in that house. For sure. 100%. Is the fact living beyond your means because you have family in Europe and America and France and whatever. That's why you have to live a particular lifestyle. But otherwise, yes, they easily make $3,000 a month. They can afford to host us for 3 weeks without us having to give a dime. And you know, the audacity was that when I was leaving, right, they were like, oh, you're not going to like leave us anything. You're not going to give us anything. Like the day I was leaving with my suitcase and everything. And look, I have all this money, right? I put my money in my bag and I said, I'm taking it to the US. All this. These are $20 bills. I have all this money that I could have easily, like, if this thing would have never happened, I probably would have given it away to different people. Probably give everybody $100 a piece. But because of that, I was like, no. The audacity to ask after all this, after If you buy me water, I have to back. If you buy my kids popsicle, I have to give you money back. And then when I'm leaving, you want to ask me, oh, you're not gonna give us anything? You're not gonna leave us anything? I took my thing. I still have it. I even forgot that I had it. I brought my money back with me. Hell no. And lastly, you know what? I really don't like to talk about stuff like this, right? Because I have 6 siblings, and I also feel like as much as I like to talk about things, I have to respect their privacy. But what triggered me was when I watched a young lady video of her saying she's not sending money back home, and people were coming at her, and it just triggered me. That's one. Number 2, you guys know I'm heavy on the Afghan, what's going on, like the soccer. And I wanted to go to Afghan. I only work 4 days a month here. I work PRN. And I already work my hours, so I have time off. I wanted to go to the Afghan. I told these people that I was coming, right? I wanted to watch the Afghan. I'm coming, right? And they're like, why would you come? Why you can't just send us that money instead of wasting it to come watch the Afghan? And some people might be like, yeah, just, girl, I work. If I want to go watch the Afghan and make me happy, I should be able to do that. Like, why are you coming to watch the Afghan if you could just send us this money? I was like, because I want to watch the Afghan. That didn't work, right? And then it became, okay, well, if you come, we're not going to be able to pick you up from the airport because the car is broken. Unless you send me $1,000. Unless you send us $1,000 to fix the car so we can pick you up at the airport, we won't be able to pick you up. Yeah, the audacity. And like, and somebody else was like, well, why don't you have a conversation with them? Let me tell you something. In an African household, you don't talk back. You could be 50. You don't talk back. If you talk back or you defend yourself, it's basically like you're insulting them. Exactly. It's basically like you basically beat them up at this point. So like defending yourself is not even worth it because it's gonna become a fight. It's gonna become like more problematic. So you just take it and just smile. I mean, that's just the way it is. So unfortunately, it's no like sitting down, talking about it, talking back. It's not even worth it. It's not even gonna click in. So with that being said, I'm really not gonna answer anything because I'm gonna be like a faucet spilling tea, and I'm gonna have to start walking around with bodyguards, which is not necessary. So it baffles me. It baffles me just as much as it baffles you guys to know that legit, like. And the weird thing is, like, I have Nigerian friends and Ghanaian friends who was like, when I was telling them this, they was like, yo, I be going home. I go back home with nothing in my pocket. I literally just come home and it's my family house. Like, I don't pay for food, nothing. Like, wow.
When you guys ask questions like this, it shows that you have never been in an African household. No, you haven't. Because this thing, I feel like it's also Americans as well. They think that you can talk back. You can't talk back. And I remember also I was talking to this old woman who was talking that apartheid was good, like the oppression. Like, yeah, they say apartheid is good and it must come back. They had jobs, blah, blah, blah. These are the old people who were oppressed, by the way, right? And I was telling this old woman, to stay in her place, right? To shut her mouth, basically. People are literally telling me that I must respect my elders. It's the same thing they tell Julius Malema, don't respect the elders. For me, respect is earned. If you're a dumb cop elder, you're a dumb cop elder. Period. There's nothing I can do about it. And you're going to be addressed. And I'm not going to hold your hand while I'm addressing you. I'm going to tell it to you the way it is. I'm not going to smooth you because you chose to be dumb cop.
So honestly, this is going to be part 3 and the last part of why I would never send money to Africa again. Ivory Coast to be precise, right? So I listened to a lot of you guys' advice. You guys was like, oh, don't send $1,000 and stay at a hotel. So that's exactly what I did. So they already knew that I was coming because we already talked about sending the $1,000 that I said I don't have. So they knew I was coming. Normally they will call me and be like, oh, what time you coming? What do you want to eat? And stuff like that. So nobody calls me. And I thought it was like bogus. They will at the end. So I went out to buy the stuff that they normally need, which is like medication and like shirts and socks and small things that I know that they basically need all year round. So I went to get those things because in my mind, they were gonna like come and get me regardless, right? All the way to the night that I was leaving, nobody called me and said, what time you coming? Nobody said like, how we gonna pick you up? What you want to eat? Nothing. So I knew me not sending the money was serious. So Friday night, I start panicking. I'm like, oh my God, I don't have a place to stay. They didn't call me. They didn't ask me. So I rented an apartment for 5 days, even though my stay was like 10 days long, because I was just so 100% sure they weren't going to do that to me. I also had to find somebody to come pick me up because nobody was asking me, when you coming? Like, I was shocked. So I get there, someone picks me up, I go to my apartment. I stay in my apartment. So while I'm there, I normally never post on like my WhatsApp status. You guys know the WhatsApp international texting line. I never post on the status. But I did that on purpose so they could know that I'm in Ivory Coast. So they could know that I'm in Africa. Someone would say, hey, you here? When did you come? Where you at? Like, why are you not home? So I intentionally started posting on my WhatsApp story. Some of them looked at it and was like, whatever. So I stayed in my apartment complex for a couple days. While I was there, oh my God, all hell broke loose. So one day, the first day that I was there, I put my face mask on and I go wash it off. There's no water, there's no electricity, nothing. I already posted that. So I was going through it. And I'm in a neighborhood where I really don't know much. Yes, I have a few friends in Ivory Coast and I know a couple people, but I don't like to stay with people. I like to stay like with the family instead of like people, like friends and acquaintances and stuff like that. So nobody ever reached out to me. So I stayed here 5 days straight. I'm posting on my WhatsApp story. I'm trying to get some attention. I'm thinking somebody's going to reach out to me like, what are you doing? Like, nothing. Apartment disaster, no light, no electricity, 6 hours at a time, 4 hours at a time. So I leave there and I go to like a resort for the remaining of my 5 days. Because again, I'm there for 10 days. So whilst I'm there, I'm doing me. I went out to watch the game. I went out to eat with some of the friends that I do know, like stuff like that. I did all that stuff. Really never stayed with family. Never really talked to like family, nothing like that. They didn't call me. I didn't call them, but they knew that I was there. I was so, I don't want to say desperate. Like I wanted to get their attention so bad because I felt so bad. Me coming all the way to another country and not having to like, it made me feel so awkward. So I was like posting on Facebook and stuff like that. Nothing. Although they kept talking to like my siblings here and was like, oh, your sister is here. Oh, she's here. She's watching the game. Oh, cool. So they knew I was there. Like my sister would tell me like, oh, they know you're there. They called me. They was like, oh, did you leave? So they knew. So I was supposed to leave on Monday, right? Sunday around like 12 noon, I get a phone call. Boom. Is one of my family members, right? They're like, hey, how are you? I'm like, good. They're like, oh, you here? You came to watch the game and everything like that? I'm like, yeah, I've been here for 10 days. They're like, oh, okay, cool. How was your travels? Like, how was everything? Blah, blah, blah. How are you? And I said, okay, cool. Nothing. Hang up. I go out and stuff like that. I come back home to a whole bunch of missed calls. I call back and I'm like, hello? Someone else called me. It was like, hey, how are you? I'm like, good. When are you leaving? I said, I'm leaving tomorrow, Monday. They're like, oh, wow. Did you ever bring like the medications we asked and like the vitamins and stuff? So they was like, how are you going to get it? So I'm like, well, I don't know if I'm going out there today or if you want to come and pick it up, but this is my hotel. They're like, okay, cool. I get another phone call and was like, oh, can you send us the hotel number? We're going to send somebody to go get the medications and the vitamins and stuff like that from you. And I said, okay. So someone comes and come get the vitamins and stuff like that. Nice. So at 6 p.m. on Sunday night, I get another phone call and it was like, oh, you've been here for a couple days. You never called to tell us that you were coming to stay with us. What you're doing is so wrong. How can you come all the way from America here and you don't tell us that you're here? It's a shame. Everybody know you're here. People are asking me like, where you at? Why you didn't come say hi to them? Like, it's a big shame for us. Like, going back and forth for that. As much as it bothered me, I had to stand on business because if I let this slide, every single time I wanted to make a trip back home, I would have to either keep sending money or keep sending like large amounts of money because I'm coming to fix this, and I did not want that. And I feel like it only happened to certain people. They do that too. And unfortunately, I just happen to be that kind of certain people. Why? Again, because I don't complain about money. I don't complain about being broke. I don't ask people for money. I don't ask for loan. Like, I don't cry about money, so they assume that I got it. I'm just being me. Again, so I'm like, oh, you're sad because I came and I didn't call you or no. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, but you knew I was here, right? Normally when I tell you that I'm coming, you normally will ask me, when are you coming? What you want to eat? I said, this time around, when I told you I was coming, you never asked me that. Why? Oh, I got busy and I wanted to ask you, but I forgot. I said, yeah, but then you called one of my siblings and was like, oh, I know she's here because I saw her WhatsApp Saturday. She went to the game and everything, but you never called me. And then I was like, it's cool. Whatever I bought, I already give it to whoever you sent it to give it to you. But I'm leaving in a couple hours. I'm leaving in the morning. So I won't be able to come by and see you guys. I guess next time I'll come and see you. Bye. Hang up the phone. And then in the morning, I get a phone call around 8 o'clock on my way to the airport. And it was like, you know what? I know what I did was wrong. I'm so sorry for the way I acted. Honestly, I feel like I should have given you a call. I didn't know that you would come and not come see us. Like, it really baffled. I'm really baffled by it. I'm really shocked and surprised by that. But this will not repeat itself again. And I said, cool. And I apologize, too, for not coming to see you. But honestly, I felt like I had to stand on business, you know? But since that happened, everything has been fine. I say all this to say, right? And all this to say, right? Although I say, oh, I would never send money to Africa again or never send money to Ivory Coast again, I will, right? I just felt so obligated to do so. I would not kill myself to do it. I would not empty my savings account to do it. But I feel like you feel obligated to do it. You feel like you owe certain people that respect. You owe them that kind of, like, you kind of feel like you're obligated to, you owe them that kind of right. They have that right upon you to take care of them, especially that Ramadan is approaching. You want to be able to contribute to the expenses of the house. But I will not kill myself, but I do feel like I still feel obligated to. I don't know why. And if anybody else feel this way, you just feel obligated. You feel like you need to. It's like a necessity. Like, you have to contribute. You know what I'm saying? I know black tax, people talk about black tax all the time. It is real. But also, you just feel like, I just have to. Like, you feel obligated to. I don't know how to explain it, but if somebody could explain it, it's a thing. You feel. So I am actually leaving right now. I will be sending money. It will not be as much as I used to send it. I will not be stressed about it, but I just feel obligated. So I don't know why. So that's the story. And that's it. No more questions.
And I'm genuinely happy standing on her business. I would have done the same. I would have done the same, and I would have never turned back. Oops. Hiccup. Bye for now. I'm joking. But seriously, it's a good thing that she stood on her own business. I would have done the same thing. I wouldn't want them to play on my head. And I don't think I would have people asking me for money. Even the people that I work with, I don't give money like that. I don't play with money. I budget. Okay? You should learn to budget. If you don't know how to budget, then it's not my business. It sounds like a you problem. Okay?